Hi and welcome to video 2 of our measurement lead-in videos. So this is for you to learn the simple familiar stuff of measurement unit 1 topic 2. So in this video we're going to talk about unit conversions, some common measurements and also some common areas and perimeters of two-dimensional shapes. All stuff you've done before, shouldn't be a big issue, but I want to take you through it again and remind you of some of these things. So first of all, we have common measures in 3 areas. They're the most common ones. The first one is weight, and I want to take you through the unit conversions for weight. And a way that I think about it that I think works quite well. First we've got our basic one, which is grams. And grams we call G. So let's just have this as a box there, and we'll show the conversion between them. Okay, now as you go down, you've got kilograms, which are kg. We've also got tons, which are sometimes called T, but they're basically megagrams. And so we'll get to the use of the word mega. And we also commonly use milligrams. Now you've got to remember, and the textbook covers this quite well, that particularly in the sciences, you've got to be using even smaller, or maybe even bigger, but probably even smaller nanograms and micrograms, particularly in that sort of chemistry biology area. So you'll have to get used to some other ones as well. They're there, but the pattern still holds. And the pattern is that if I want to convert between these, grams to kilograms is there is 1,000 grams in a kilogram. So to do the conversion, I need to divide by 1,000. So if I've got 100 grams, I divide that by 1,000 to work out the number of kilograms. And I'll do the second conversion in a second. And the same thing happens. It actually works out quite well. Divide by 1,000 and divide by 1,000. And so the conversion is that 1 gram equals 1,000 milligrams. And 1 kilogram equals 1,000 grams. And 1 ton equals 1,000 kilograms. So this is the metric system we use where things are different by 1,000. There are some variants on that, but weight, thankfully, works quite nicely. Let's have a look at our next one, which also works reasonably well. So I'm going to go to volume. So we've got our most common volume measure is the litre, L. And I don't know why I'm doing boxes, but I am. And then we've also got a milliliter. And hopefully you're seeing this common use of the part milli, ml. And then we have a kiloliter, but it's not actually that common, kl. And we've got a megaliter as well, which is used if you go out and measure the volume of water in a dam or something like that. You talk about megaliters. But the same thing holds true, so I'll quickly write it up. And that is that to go this way, we divide by 1,000. Now if you're going the other way, obviously you multiply by 1,000. And are you going to sit here and memorize this? I don't know. I kind of think if I'm in an exam, I'm thinking litres to millilitres, I'm thinking, well, I know my water bottle's got 1 litre and it's 1,000 millilitres. Like, I can see that conversion just through something I can touch and feel. So why memorize stuff? 1 litre equals 1,000 millilitres. And 1 kiloliter equals 1,000 litres. And equally, we get that conversion that 1 megaliter is 1,000 kilolitres, if we use it. Lastly, and this one does throw a little bit of a spanner in the works, and this is our length or distance measures. Now it's not a significant spanner in the works, but I'm going to do my diagram differently. So our basic level of length is a metre. And then we have a millimetre, and then we have a kilometre. Now we have a megametre technically, but we never really use it. Kilometres seems to be enough for us to measure what we're dealing with, and so we tend to stick with kilometres. And we've got a micrometre, but we don't really deal with that too much either. And so we get the same patterns here. So in here are the boxes again. We've got our times by 1,000, and by times I obviously mean divide, just change that up. Divide by 1,000 there, and 1 kilometre, you know this anyway, is 1,000 metres. You already knew that. And 1 metre, Well, that's 1,000 millimeters. So we only really have to deal with thousands, except for this mystical guy in here that we sometimes use, which is a centimeter. Now, this is interesting because milli, like a millennium, has 1,000 years, and centi, like a century, has 100 years. So it's like a cent is 100th of a dollar. Cent is that prefix to do with 100. Milli is the prefix to do with 1,000. So cent sits in the middle here, and I'll do this in orange. To get from millimeters to centimeters, we divide by 10, and to get from centimeters to meters, we divide by 100. There are 100 centimeters in a meter and 1,000 millimeters in a meter, and you can see that through their prefixes. So if you can remember that cent lines up with century, you get that 100 feeling coming across. But that's that little one across there. And if you travel to Europe, you'll see there's actually a centiliter that gets used a bit over there. So it does appear it's a reasonable measure. Personally, I've never really heard of anybody using a centigram, but there's no reason why we couldn't, because it is a technical piece of language and it has a very specific meaning, so it could be used. So there's our unit conversions and common measures, so just keep in mind what those are.